once again, welcome back to Jumpstart Your Immunity. Tonight's topic, Hydrate Me Jumpstart. How I hydrate myself? OJ sports drinks, energy drinks? That's how I jumpstart my day. Find out the best drink to boost your immune system with Ernie Medina. Ernie?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Ernie Medina, and you've read the bio already in the presentation, but greetings from Loma Linda, California. It's an honor to share with you this evening, and I would just like to thank you for taking the time to watch this tonight. I'd also like to thank Seth for the opportunity for speaking during this series, this Jumpstart Your Immunity series. And I'd also like to thank Dr. Calvin Kim for inviting me to speak initially and then connecting Seth and I together. And finally, I'd like to thank God for the gift of life and his amazing grace and the miracle of creation and life. So as we dive in here, before we start, let's have a word of prayer. Our Father, we just want to thank you for this time that we can share together. And I ask that you be with us, be with each participant that is viewing this, and help them to hear you speak through me on this topic of hydration. In your name I pray, amen. Well, I just wanted to start off with a story. Back in 2014, I was attending an academy graduation of the daughter of one of our close friends. And suddenly, at the end of the graduation, I felt a tremendous amount of pain. And so I thought, oh, you know what? I think I'm going to head home. So I started heading home, but then the pain just kept growing worse and worse. So on the drive home, instead of going home, I ended up here at this place here. Now, you may not know where this is, but this is in Redlands, California. This is the Beaver Medical Group Urgent Care Clinic. And so while I was there, I experienced some of the most excruciating pain I had ever felt in my life. And it was probably the closest thing to childbirth that I will ever feel. And somebody was the one who told me this. I'll tell you that a little bit later. But this is what I was dealing with when I was here at this urgent care clinic. Now, some of you might recognize what this is, but this is a kidney stone. Now, it may look huge, but in fact, when I was able to find it after drinking copious amounts of water and trying to flush out this kidney stone, I was able to find it, and it was about the size of a grain of sand. So that's how small this kidney stone was. So how could something so small cause so much pain? Have any of you ever experienced a kidney stone? I'm sure there are others out there that have probably had that. One of the nurses at the urgent care clinic was telling me that her passing of her kidney stone was worse than any of her 5 natural childbirths that she experienced. So I'll just have to take her word for it about it being as bad or worse than childbirth. So this leads us to the topic for tonight, and that is water. Uh, Hydration, drinking water. I'm sure you've heard this many times, but I hope that even though you might have heard it a lot of times, that you'll get a new understanding and a new appreciation for why we need to be drinking enough water and how much water we should be drinking. And so I hope that by the end that you will have a renewed interest in making sure you're getting enough water. And so how does water itself play into this theme that we're all talking about, jump starting your immunity? So how does water impact that all? But before we answer that question, I just wanted to talk first a little bit about jumpstart, the jumpstart part of the title. Okay. Now, I don't know about you, but when I first heard or read jumpstart, I immediately thought of this, a dead battery. Growing up in Michigan, we had a lot of opportunities for dead batteries, especially in the wintertime, it seemed. The cold weather would just make the batteries die so much more quickly. And so we had to do this a lot in the wintertime there in Berrien Springs, Michigan. Well, I hope none of you that are watching tonight have a dead immune system. So what this series is really, really focusing on is, and showing you how to do, is to really fine tune your immune system so it will function at the optimal level, just as God intended it to. So you already learned about how nutrition impacts your immune system by Dr. Naval last night. And each night you'll be learning about other ways to fine tune and enhance and improve your immune system. So, a big reason why we were focusing on the immune system, of course, is this right here, the pandemic, COVID 19. This is probably my fifth or sixth talk on lifestyle behaviors and the immune system that I've given, all through Zoom like this, all because of COVID. And so, working in educating future professionals in public health, I teach at Loma Linda University School of Public Health. We promote the various recommendations, such as you can see here on the slide here, washing your hands, not touching your face, of course, wearing a mask all the time, especially when you go out in public and in crowded places. If you can't maintain your distance, trying to keep your distance. We say social distancing. I like to say physical distancing because I'm not trying to be socially distant from somebody. I'm trying to be physically distant from somebody. And so I like to say physical distancing of the 6 feet or more. Air hugs, air hugs, like going like that now instead of the hugging in person. And then also working from home or staying at home and working at home, or especially if you are sick, staying at home. I've been working from home teaching since March, that spring quarter. And so we've been teaching from home. My wife teaches in the School of Nursing. She's been teaching from home ever since then as well. So we've been teaching from home, staying home a lot. And so we've been promoting and doing these things, these recommendations, because they are just good, smart things to do during this time of the pandemic. And we do all these things because we want to try to reduce the risk and exposure to SARS-CoV-2 virus. That's the actual virus that causes COVID-19. But these measures can only do so much. And there's a good chance that even though we do all these different things, there's still a good chance that we're going to get infected. So God gave us an amazing system to fight foreign invaders like the SARS-CoV-2 virus. And that is what the focus of this series is all about: jumpstarting or fine tuning our immune system to give us the maximum protection against this virus and anything else that is a danger to us. Now, God created this amazingly complex system that provides various barriers, like our skin, for example. We call this the innate part of the immune system. And then there are the special forces called the adaptive part of the system. They learn and create special fighters so that they are specifically designed to fight a specific invader. So we don't have time to go into all the different layers of the immune system, or maybe somebody else will be going over that later on in the series. But just know that it is a very complex and specialized system that was designed for our safety. And so what we do can greatly either impair or enhance that system. Now, the vaccine is out, and so that will help our immune system by providing more special forces. But even with the vaccine, our immune system can be enhanced or degraded by our lifestyle habits and choices. So that's why I'm not depending on the vaccine alone to protect me. I just got my first shot yesterday, last Friday or Friday, and so my arm is still quite sore. But that's fortunately that's only those are the only symptoms that I have right now, and so but that is something that I really recommend and we encourage everybody to get. And so I am not depending though just on that alone to protect me. And my family, my wife and my daughter also got the vaccine as well. So we are we are also looking at how we can do what we can do to enhance our immune system, the system that God gave us to further protect us from the virus, and but also if we do get the virus, that we will have a much better chance of beating the virus. So that's where hydration comes in. You know, how can we use water to jumpstart, to enhance, to fine tune our immune system? Now, I chose this picture here because it says inside and out. You may be thinking about, oh, the water that I drink all the time. But for the first part, I'm going to talk a little bit about what is it that how water can benefit us, not just on the inside of our bodies, but also on the outside of our bodies. So yes, how we can use water outside of our bodies can greatly enhance and actually fine tune our immune system. So I like this picture here, hydrotherapy, an amazingly simple way to boost your immunity in just 15 seconds a day. And there you see somebody dipping in what looks like a frozen lake. They chopped a hole in the ice and are dipping in there. I've never personally done this, but I know people who do swimming, go swimming, polar bear clubs, I think they're called, that will go swimming in ice water in the wintertime. I have always had a hard time just jumping into the pool of cold water in the summertime. So I'm a big wimp when it comes to cold water. But I'm trying to change that because I've heard more on this subject from my mentor and good friend, Dr. Wes Youngberg. He is one of the leading lifestyle medicine, preventive care specialists practicing today. And he's an alumnus of Loma Linda University School of Public Health and a former faculty there. And he is now currently working in Temecula, California. And you can find his website at dryoungberg.com. And when the pandemic started, I saw a presentation he did on natural remedies, and he talked about the use of hydrotherapy to boost your immune system. And also, if you do get COVID, what are the kinds of things that you can do through hydrotherapy and natural remedies to deal with the COVID symptoms, reduce the severity of that. And so if you do get infected, there are still things you can do with hydrotherapy. So one of the techniques he talked about was what he called the poor man's hydrotherapy. So what is that? What is the poor man's hydrotherapy? Well, here it is: hot, cold showers. And so you can see here on the slide here some of the benefits of what hot water does for you and what benefits of cold water does for you. And you look at the very top there on the blue side, the blue side, it says stimulates your immune system. So it is this hot and cold transitioning that can really stimulate your immune system. So this is the procedure that Dr. Wes Youngberg talks about when he talks about the poor man's hydrotherapy. 3 minutes hot, okay, not scalding hot, not, don't hurt yourself. And of course, he also says if you have some other injuries or some medical conditions that you shouldn't be doing this, be sure to check with your doctor first. But if you don't, if you're relatively healthy, he says you can do 3 minutes of hot water and then 30 seconds of what he says, 30 seconds as cold as you can make it, not take it. So the way I interpret that is if you can turn the knob all the way to cold, that's what he's talking about, not just how cold you can take it. Because if it was that, then I would be like lukewarm cold. So he says make it as cold as you can take it, make it for 30 seconds, and then go 3 minutes hot again, 30 seconds cold, and then one more time, 3 minutes hot, 30 seconds cold. That's a times cycle. Okay. Then after that, and he's talking about taking a shower in the evening times. He's right before you go to bed. He says after that, completely dry yourself and really, especially dry your hair very well. Completely dry it, your whole body and your hair, and then go right to bed. And he says if you can do that and be still and just relax for 20 minutes, or ideally just go to sleep, then he says that is going to be the maximum benefit from that hot, cold, poor man's therapy, hydrotherapy, to your immune system if you can do that. So that's what he says there. Cycle 3 times, dry completely, and then rest right away after you do this kind of thing. So yeah, this morning I did take a shower. I went on a little bit mountain bike ride this morning, and after I took a shower and I tried to do the hot cold thing just because I knew I was going to be recording this today, and I was like, oh man, this is it's tough. It is tough, but I just kept telling myself hey, it's going to boost my immune system. It's going to stimulate my immune system. So try this if you want to use hydrotherapy on the outside of your body to help stimulate and boost your immune system. Now, if you want to see more about the home-based hydrotherapy things that you can do, especially for COVID-19, you can see his full presentation on this on Audioverse. And so I put the link there. I know it's a little long, but if you just go on Google and just Google hydrotherapy Audioverse Wes Youngberg, you'll find it. You'll go right to it, and so you can watch the whole presentation that he does on hydrotherapy and the things that you can do, especially if somebody does contract the SARS-CoV-2 virus and gets COVID-19. So I highly recommend you watch that for further information on that. Okay, so we're looking at the Earth here, and it looks like, wow, that the Earth is mostly water. Well, in fact, I saw another picture. In fact, if you took all the water on the Earth, even though over 90% of the surface is covered by water, if you took all the water on the Earth compared to the non-water part of the Earth, it really is only a very small percentage of the Earth is water. Now, that is unlike our body. So even though it may look like water is everywhere on the planet, really, compared to our body, there's no comparison. If you look at what constitutes our body is mostly made up of water. So look at the different components. Our brain, 75% water. Our lungs, 90% water. Bones, 25%. Blood, 85%. Our skin is 80%. Skin 80% water. Muscles, 75%. So our bodies are between 65 and 70% water. If you took out all the water out of us, if you dehydrated us, we would be just a little pile of sand, some minerals, and some leathery strips of muscle. So we're really, even though we feel pretty solid, we're mostly water. So water is really an important component of our body because that's what we're mostly made of, even though we feel fairly solid. So you've always heard this, and this question here is, did you drink your 8 glasses a day? Okay. And so, is that really how many glasses we should be drinking of water a day? I remember back, this is quite a few years ago, that I had a classmate who did her doctoral dissertation on on this topic and whether, where did this 8 glasses come from? Is that enough? And all this kind of thing. And so we'll talk about what the latest information is on how much water is right for you, because it's not just a one size fits all, of course, because we're all different people. We're different sizes, different shapes, different activity levels. And so we'll get to that part. So, but this is the question that we always hear is, are you drinking your 8 glasses a day? And there's good reason why we should be drinking plenty of water because we are made up mostly of water. If we don't drink enough water, pretty much every system in our body is going to be suffering. And these are some signs here of dehydration from just mild dehydration. Probably most of us have experienced that, either chapped lips or, we're thirsty. You might have a headache. So these are various different signs of dehydration, all the way to severe signs of dehydration. And that, those are serious when you're getting to that point, when you were seeing those systems being effective, whether your respiratory system, your cardiovascular system, your brain is not going to be functioning properly because, again, remember, the brain is mostly made up of water. And so that's going to be severe. And they say that on average, we can last 3 days without water. And that, of course, again, varies with activity level, environment, where you're at, if you're in the desert versus in the jungle, that kind of thing. So, but 3 days is about what they say is that you can, on average, last without water. So we can't go very long without water. It's an essential component, nutrient for our bodies. Now, when you look at the benefits of water, okay, these are some of there are many benefits, but I like this picture because it showed like the top 10 benefits. Every system and organ in our body depends on water. Again, because it's mostly made up of water. So it's no wonder that drinking water benefits us basically from head to toe. So when you go through these benefits, it sounds like it's a miracle drug, doesn't it? And yet it's all free to us. You look at that. It helps us lose weight and boost our metabolism. That's probably on a lot of people's New Year's resolutions, is to lose weight, especially they call it the pandemic 15 or something. I've seen a lot of people baking and cooking because they're home a lot more. So, and they don't want to go out, and we can't go to restaurants. I mean, it's more difficult to go to restaurants. And so they're cooking a lot more, eating at home more. And so they're gaining weight and they're also not being physically active, which you also heard about last night with Dr. Ron Dupree on movement and physical activity. So losing weight, boosting metabolism, more energy, relieving fatigue, flushing out the toxins in our body. Dr. Naval talked about some of that, but what toxins how they impact our gut and our health. And so water helps to flush that out, improves our skin, helps make you regular. Again, Dr. Naval talked about the gut and and so how that system works and absorbs our nutrients in our colon and in our small intestine, and and then how things go out eventually into the colon and how that system is very complex and important for our health and our immune system. Water helps to make that system regular. Okay. Other things helping headaches, preventing cramps, boosting your mood, fighting halitosis, bad breath. But here's the one that I really like, and it's caught my attention, of course, boosting your immune system. Okay, so this is what we are particularly interested in, is how to jumpstart or fine tune our immune system, our immunity. And so drinking water helps to boost our immune system. And again, it's because our immune system is made up of a very complex cellular system, different cells. And so when we look at what component of the body of water, how water composes all those things, it's no wonder that that system is very dependent on water, and we need to be drinking enough to help our immune system run at its maximum efficiency. Now, this is nothing new. Many of you might have read Ellen G. White. Ellen G. White, if you don't know, is one of the founder is the founder of the Seventh Day Adventist Church, and she wrote a lot of things on health. And this one book here, Counsels on Diet and Foods, which was published in 1938. Published in 1938, and she has a chapter on beverages and specifically on drinking water and calls it "Pure Water, a Blessing." So this is something that we've known for a long time now. We've talked about it within our own Seventh-day Adventist Church, and yet, unfortunately, I don't think people really give it the respect and the importance that it deserves. And so that's why I think that we need to keep talking about that when we talk about an overall healthy diet. For example, we need to be making sure that we are drinking enough water and encouraging people to drink enough water. Now, there are many health programs out there. This is one that I learned about way long time ago, even when I was still in college. I was a student missionary in Singapore, and I helped out with my very first New Start program while I was there at Youngberg Adventist Hospital. Actually, it was at Singapore in Singapore, and so under Dr. Clarence Ng there. And here is this program has been around a long time. It's very, it's well known, and I believe one of our upcoming presenters is also connected with the New Start program. And as you can see in this program, water is one of the key components. So definitely water is a critical thing, and I'm glad programs like New Start have it incorporated into their acronym. Now, the American College of Lifestyle Medicine is one of the leading associations for people, healthcare, physicians, nurses, dietitians, personal trainers, health coaches, health educators, people who are interested in lifestyle more than just drugs alone. And so the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, or ACLM, puts out a lot of information on healthy lifestyle. And of course, one of the big things is plant-based diets and whole food diets. And so as you can see here, this is their adaptation of the plate diet, which is something that is currently put out by our government. Not this one particularly. This is a modification of that. And so this is based on plant-based. And so you can see all the different quadrants there, the plant proteins in the upper quadrant, 1/4 of the plate, whole grains in the bottom quarter, and then half your plate is fruit and vegetables. And I really like this. I've worked with this with patients. When I worked at Beaver Medical Group, I worked there for over 20 years. And I really like this plan because it's very simple, visual. People can imagine it. I use it for myself even when I'm eating out, sometimes at the cafeteria. They have the containers, and it's actually the container is sort of like that, has 1/2 and then 2/4. So I can put my carbs in one, my protein in the other, and then fill up the rest with salad and some fruits and that kind of thing. So this is a really good model and very easy to follow. And I like, of course, there where it also says drinking water in the original full plate diet, or not full plate diet. I mean, sorry, not the full plate diet. The plate diet that's by the government. They will, of course, talk about drinking dairy or milk there. But here they have replaced that. ACLM has replaced that with drinking water. Okay. Now they also have some resources on optimizing your effective immune response to infection. So what are things that you can do to enhance your immune system? And this is again from ACLM. And so as you can see here, and actually I was when I was watching Dr. Naval's talk, she mentioned actually some of these things besides nutrition, talking about sleep and stress management, of course, those kinds of things. And so I like here that they do have there at the very bottom there under healthy eating, stay hydrated with water. So ACLM knows the importance and promotes the idea that we need to always keep well hydrated. Now, I told you about my doctoral classmate that did her doctoral dissertation on water intake, but like I said, that was quite a while ago. So I said, well, let me see what's out there now currently to see if there's any newer research articles out there on hydration, given that it seems like it's sort of an obvious thing. And so I did some research, and I found this article, and this was just last year, May of 2020. So a very recent article, and I like the title there, Hydration for Health Hypothesis, a narrative review of supporting evidence. So I figured, hey, if this is a 2020, they would have looked at all the past research, knowing when you do research, you have to do a lit review and you have to look at all the previous research. So I figured if I found the latest research that they would have done, look at that, and you could see their references at the end of this article. You could see all the references on past research on hydration. And here is basically what they found, and you could read it there at the bottom there. It basically found how being not drinking enough, being dehydrated, does have a impact on formation of kidney stones and also urinary tract infection. And then it also has a connection through this AVP there. You can see there it says increased circulating AVP. It's a vasopressin, and this can lead to increased risk for metabolic disease, chronic kidney disease, and autosomal dominant polycystic kidney disease as well. So this is something that they go into great detail about the pathophysiology of those things and how not drinking enough water can increase your risk of those things. And of course, for me, especially having suffered 3 kidney stone episodes already, this really caught my attention and just sort of reinforced to me why I need to keep drinking plenty of water and staying well hydrated. So hopefully you are now thoroughly convinced that you need to be drinking enough water every day and not just take it for granted or assume that you're just getting enough, but you really need to know for your immune system, for all the benefits that it hits every organ and every system in the body, head to toe. And so we're going to talk about now about how much should you drink. And so because that can be very controversial because like I said, is it 8 glasses, is it more, is it less? So we're going to cover that here in this next section here. Now, if you go by thirst, unfortunately, thirst is not a good indicator because by the time you're thirsty, it's already too late. You're already suffering from some mild hydration. We're not talking about just staying at that mild hydration level. You want to be at optimal level. So you can't go by thirst alone. So you can't wait till you're thirsty to drink and say, oh, okay, now I should drink. No, that's too late. All right. So some people do this method. They look at their urine color and they go by that. And so there's plenty of charts you can find online. This is one chart I found that you can go sort of look at the urine level. And so this is another method that's pretty popular. I did use this on myself, and that's all I always thought would work for me. So when I would go to the bathroom and I would look into the toilet there, it would be clear sometimes. So I thought, oh man, I'm doing fine. I'm well hydrated. It's clear. It's like at a number 2 or number 1. So I thought I was fine until after my third bout of kidney stones, and my third, it happened like about once every year or two. So by the third time I had kidney stones, that was the worst because they were too large to pass, and I had to have surgery. So I had to go in. They had to go in and laser them and pulverize them into powder, and then had to pass them out that way. So after that time, I said, okay, I cannot go by this chart. It doesn't work for me. And so for my specific situation, and after the third time, you'd think I would learn. And so I've learned my lesson. So I personally don't follow the chart anymore or look at my urine color. And I go by more of a fixed amount of water that's necessary for my personal health and situation. Okay. Now, this is from the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. And here's what their recommended daily water intake is. For men, it's 15.5 cups, which is about 3.7 liters. And for women, it's 11.5 cups or 2.7 liters. That's sort of like a generic daily goal for people to shoot for. Okay. So you can take that. So that's one way ACLM recommends. So that would keep you above the dehydration level, but you may need more than that. So here is what that article recommended. There at the bottom there, you can see the optimal water intake should approach 2.5 to 3.5 liters per day. So that's like about 15 cups or 120 ounces. So that's pretty similar to what the ACLM did. Okay, yeah, see, the ACLM was 2.7 for women, 3.7 liters for men, and here it was 2.5 to 3.5 liters a day for men and women. So they're just sort of putting that all together. So that's sort of some general recommendations. So you can sort of ask yourself, am I drinking at least 2.5 liters of water a day? And see if you're even reaching that minimum level of recommendation. Now, here is one that I like because it's a little bit more uh, fine tuned to your specific size, weight, and also activity level. So, as you can see there in the math, you take your body weight, you divide it by two, and that number is how many ounces you should drink every day. So, if you're a 150-pound person, that middle person there, you should be drinking 75 ounces a day, and 1 cup is equal to 8 ounces. So you can see you're roughly, drinking almost 10 cups, not quite 10 cups a day. But if you're 180 pounds, then you're drinking 90 ounces. Okay, so that's almost, that's again, how many you can figure out how many cups that is. So that's almost 10 cups there as well. It's actually more than 10 cups. Okay, so this is a nice formula that I recommend to patients and clients if they're trying to figure out how much water should I drink. Now, I like how it adjusts for activity as well. So you should add 12 ounces. Okay, that's a little over a cup, but 12 ounces for every 30 minutes of activity. Okay, so if you are exercising out, especially if you're exercising outside and it's hot and you're sweating a lot, you might need to bump that up a little more. But at least this gives you a rough, uh, a way to personalize your own water intake based on your weight and your activity level. So for me, especially given my history with kidney stones, and so I already have that predisposition towards kidney stones, my daily goal is 120 ounces per day. Okay, 120 ounces a day. And when we get a little bit later, I'll show you how I actually keep track of that. That sounds like a lot, I know, but I have a very simple way of tracking that. Okay, so 120 ounces based on this formula, my weight, my activity level, 120 ounces is what I'm shooting for every day, and my kidney stone history. So I do a lot of activity pretty much every day. I do some kind of activity. And so, besides my kidney stone prevention hydration plan, I also have to keep hydrated for pickleball. That's the picture on the left. I play lots of pickleball. I'm a coach, certified coach. So, I teach a lot of pickleball as well as training for tournaments, although tournaments, there are not a lot of tournaments going on right now, but doing a lot of training and drilling for that. And then I also do a lot of mountain biking. I love mountain biking, and I coach a kids group and a women's group mountain biking here in Loma Linda. We ride in the hills here. It's very close to my house here, and so I have to be drinking more than the minimum recommendation based on my my weight. So that's the first. That part is how much should you drink, so you can figure that out for yourself. How many ounces or liters you should be drinking a day. Now here for this last part of my talk, I'm going to talk about 3 tips for developing a daily water intake habit, because we may know it's good for us, and believe me, there's a lot of things we know but we don't do. And so how can you change your behavior and make it easier to do, to have a regular water daily water habit? And the first tip is to track your water intake. So there are a lot of ways you can do this. You can use a journal if you want, a pad. You can use your iPhone to keep track of it in there. There are also a lot of cool apps out there, and these are just some samples of different apps. Water tracker, and I don't know, it's just and something. There's water reminder, aqua alert, and then this one on the right hand side, this big one, is called Plant Nanny. And I actually tried that one for a while, and it's very interesting. You start off with a nice healthy plant like you see there in the picture, and then you have a goal of water you're supposed to be taking, and then every time you drink, you're supposed to enter that in every time you drink into your app there. And if you do that, you will keep your plant nice and healthy. But if you don't drink enough, and you skip some or you don't you meet your goal, slowly your plant will die. So, uh, and unfortunately, I got tired of using the plant nanny because even though I was drinking, I wasn't always putting it into my app. And so I would get these notifications, or when I did open the app, my plant would be all withered up and dead. And so I was like, oh man, this is so discouraging to see a dead plant. So I quit using it. But I know other people who like to use it. And so if you like to have sort of this gamified way of reminding you to keep your plant alive, if that motivates you to keep drinking, go for it. So that's one way you can keep track of it using your water intake using some form of app. Okay, now here's the low tech method, and this is actually the way my wife keeps track of her water intake. In fact, while we were just starting here, she got her drink of water and did this. She has magnets on a refrigerator. Okay, this is a picture of our refrigerator, which is right over there, and every time she drinks a glass of water, she moves one of those magnets over. So that's how she keeps track throughout the day. So it's a very visual. We're in the kitchen a lot, so it's a very visual thing. She can see, oh, I need to drink another glass, and then at the end of the day, all those magnets should be moved over to the right, and then she starts over again at the beginning of the day. So that's a really low tech, easy way to keep track, especially if you're at home a lot. Then that way you'll see that. That's one way. So I tried that as well. Doesn't quite work for me. I needed something a little bit easier, at least for me. And so it comes to this, making it more convenient to drink. So I sort of combined the two, tracking and convenience. Okay. So I combined the two together. So as you can see there, I have two of these water bottles. And so you can see the picture. There's the other one I have. I have two of these. Each of these water bottles is 40 ounces. 40 times 3 is 120. So my goal is to drink 3 of these every day. It's simple. It's a no-brainer, right? I could pick it up. I could see, ooh, I need a drink, and I was getting thirsty here just talking here all this time. So, um, so my goal is to drink 3 of these every day. So I'll have one filled up first thing in the morning. Actually, I have both of them filled up in the morning, and then I try to drink one by before noon. And if I can drink the next one, by mid-afternoon, and then the third one by, bedtime, and finish that off when I'm taking my medication, my night medication, um, then I'm good. So this is my goal. So it's really simple. I don't have to think. I don't have to count anything. I just have to. Excuse me. Sorry, something got to my nose. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to worry about it. I just have to fill this up and drink away, and I can feel it if it's light or heavy, and I can tell, am I on track or not. So I have two of these right now, and I'll fill them up so I can drink one. Then I start on the other one, and I fill up the third one. And so that's how it's very simple for me to make it to keep track, and also it's very convenient. I carry this everywhere. If you look at my bottle, it has dents on it because I've dropped it. I also bring this, of course, when I go play pickleball. I don't bring this when I go mountain biking, it's too big. But I do bring this when I play pickleball. So I drink out of this. And then, of course, I need to have extra. So that's the way and that's been working for me. Keeping track, making sure I get at least 3 of these. If I only get 2, that's only 80 ounces. So I need to be getting more than that since my goal is to get to 120 ounces a day. So 3 of these days. That's how my method is. And you can also use reminders, alarms if you want to drink like every hour or something. For me, I just try to drink every so often while I'm teaching class, or if I'm working on the computer. I'll just keep trying to sip and sip and sip and sip, or drink and drink until this is empty, and then boom, get a new one. Okay, or get the other one. Okay, so that's the second tip. Make it convenient, so that you can bring the water with you all the time, all over the place. And then if you need reminders or alarms, you can use that as well. That's the second tip. The third and final tip is make it taste more interesting. Okay, so for me, I like to put, when I have my water bottle here, I actually put three three shots of lemon. This is lemon juice, 100% lemon juice. I just put 3 shots of this inside my water. I put some ice in here as well, and that's it. And I like to have that flavored water. Also, I learned that lemon water is good, help is good for kidney stones as well. And so my urologist said keep it up. It's doing well. I got checked up by my urologist every year, and they do scans to see if there are any stones are forming. And so far, knock on wood, so far it's looking good. It's been now what I think 3 years, maybe 4 years since I had that last kidney stone operation surgery. So I put lemon water in it, and also I like the flavor, the taste of it. And oh, by the way, my dentist also said it was perfectly fine. I get checked up every year, and I go to the dental hygienist, and they said that the lemon water is not, it's not like I swirl it in there and let it erode. That's not what kills your enamel anyway. And so my dentist and my urologist both said, "Hey, keep it up. You're doing great." So that that interesting taste helps me to want to drink more because it tastes interesting. You can use other fruits. We have a lemon tree now that's really full right out here, and I will put lemon wedges in there as a change up. Put lemon wedges in there. Some people have said they use carbonated water as well to add a little bit of a fizz or a kick. I sort of stay away from carbonation anyway. Not that it, I, you know, Dr. Naval may have some other information on that, but I don't do carbonation. But I read in my research and my preparation for this that carbonating water was an easy and safe way to change and make it more interesting without going into the whole soda thing, which I would definitely not recommend. And so that's what I do. I just put lemon in my lemon juice in my water, just 3 little squirts, and that just flavors it just enough, and it tastes good. And it's good for my kidney stone prevention plan as well. So do what you can to make it taste more interesting, and then you'll be more likely to continue drinking. So I hope and pray that everyone watching here will make a conscious effort to get their recommended amount of water uh, on a daily basis. And so if it's still close to the new year, you can make a New Year's resolutions to drink more water, and not to just drink more water, but we talk about SMART goals, and we want to make it a little more specific than that. Not just drink more water, but to actually say, how much are you going to drink a day? Okay, 120 ounces, 80 ounces, 50 ounces. Figure it out using that formula, and then figure that out, and then say, okay, how am I going to drink that? Am I going to use the magnet method? I'm going to use the Plant Nanny app. I'm just going to use a simple container and drink this all until it's gone, that kind of thing. Make it simple, and then that'll be a much easier way then to make it a habit, and then get that recommended water in on a regular daily basis, and jumpstart, fine tune your immunity. And while you're doing that, I just have to end and remind us all that we should also be drinking from the source of living water, which I pray that we all partake of every day throughout the day in order to avoid spiritual dehydration. But that is another topic for another time. And so on that note, I thank you for your kind attention, and God bless. And I think it's now time for Q&A. So if you have any questions, I think you can type them in, and Seth will read them out. Thank you very much. And my email, I didn't give it here on the slide, but it's just my name, Medina, EMEDINA, at LLU.edu, Loma Linda University.edu, education. And so if you want to email me, if you have any questions, or if you'd like this PowerPoint, yeah, I'll be happy to send you the PowerPoint, a PDF of it. And so that way you could have it and have the slides. So thanks. And I'll turn it back over to Seth. God bless.
Yeah, you're going to unmute me, right? All right, perfect. All right. Thank you so much, Ernie, for that wonderful presentation. I actually have learned a lot myself. And actually, what's interesting is as I've actually had some kidney stone issues myself over the last few years. So was actually a very helpful presentation. I actually have one that I've been seeing the urologist with right now. That we actually did a 24-hour urine study to try to figure out what kind of kidney stones I might be getting, and what might help me with that. So your presentation has helped me a lot, and now I'm going to be figuring out what my weight is and divide it out to see how much water that I'm going to need to be drinking for my own self, because that definitely is something that's going to be very helpful, because I've actually had kidney stones. I actually started as a flight attendant about 14 years ago, and a few years
I
after,
remember you saying that.
Yeah, a few years after being a flight attendant, I ended up with a kidney stone. And
no.
And part of that is because I was still drinking the same amount of water that I used to do before I was a flight attendant. And when you're in the air,
Yeah,
when
you
you're in
get
the air,
dehydrated more.
yeah. And so I actually learned about drinking more water back then, but now that I've watched your presentation, now I'm going to be figuring out some stuff, and I think I'm going to start doing some reminders and stuff because that's going to be a very helpful thing for me because kidney stones is not a fun thing.
It is not. I mean, after that last, I've had three, like I said, and the first two I was able to pass just from drinking a lot of extra water, and
Right,
I caught the
right.
first one the first time. The second time it was too small, I didn't catch it. But the third one, and that required surgery and a stent, and
Oh,
I mean, I couldn't exercise for 30 days while the stent was inside. I mean, that that finally taught me my lesson.
your
So
lesson, yeah.
I really became much
Yes,
more, because
yes,
you forget about the pain, and then I started going
yes.
back to my usual low water intake.
Yep, yep.
And then when I got the third one, I was like, oh, okay, I'm, so I had to force myself to drink these three
Yes,
most,
yes. I
most
actually
days.
brought
So
my water bottle tonight, so
good.
I've been drinking my water today, and
How many ounces is that in there?
I'm not sure.
That looks like 16.
I
Is
think
that
it's about
16?
16. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
about 16.
Okay.
So I need to drink several of these to
Yeah. Once you do the calculation, then you can figure out. Like I said, for me, 120 ounces, and this is 40. So that's why I just know I just need to do three of these. I used to carry one that was like a whole gallon, but it was so big, it was a pain to carry.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
these are the ones I carry, and I just I just empty it out, then I know I'm on
Right,
track.
right.
So
Awesome. Awesome.
yeah.
So we do have a couple questions that were written in during the topic.
Okay.
First one's regarding hydrotherapy. It says, I've been doing hydrotherapy daily after work. I've been doing cold water and most likely around doing cold water at most likely around 70 degrees. How can a person handle 50 to 60 degree water temperature for 30 seconds?
Well, 70 degrees, that doesn't sound too cold. That's cool. I know the pool here at Drayson Center, they keep it, swimmers like it cool because you don't want to be swimming in water that's too hot. So 70 degrees doesn't sound too cold, but Dr. Youngberg said, make it as cold as you can make it. And I actually asked him, I mean, what if you can't do it that cold? He says, do it as cold as you can, but the colder the better. You're really trying to shock your system.
Yeah, shock
So,
your system. Yeah, yeah.
hmm
I actually have done
yeah.
that myself. I know I've had a couple times when I don't know if some of you out there, but for me, sometimes I'll start feeling like I'm going to get sick. Like you get this kind of feeling, you're like, I think
hmm
I might. And then
Yes.
I've gone in the shower. I've done that exact treatment where you're doing, the 3 minutes and then the 30 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dry myself off, got into bed. Next morning, I felt great. I didn't even feel like I was even getting sick. I never even got sick. So that was actually
Yeah.
a wonderful thing that I have done.
That's interesting because I've done this exact same thing when this
Yeah.
is of course all pre-pandemic and all, but I would
Right,
start
right,
feeling like a little bit malaise or something, and I would do
right,
that very exact
right.
thing, and boom, next day I'm back. And Dr. Youngberg, he said, I do it in the shower, but he said that they have like a jacuzzi at their home and then a pool.
Right.
So I think it's easier if you dunk yourself into cold water versus letting the cold water land on you, because then you still have the air and you
Right,
you feel
right,
colder.
right.
So I wish I
and
had. So when I'm at Drayson, I've done that because I can dip into the shallow end of the pool, and it feels really cold, and then I go into the jacuzzi, and that's really hot. Then I go back and forth. And
right.
so if somebody has a jacuzzi or a pool, then that's a lot easier. But yeah, the shower is the poor man's,
Yeah,
like you said, the poor
and
man's hydrotherapy.
it worked. It still works.
Yeah,
I have
it
used it
works.
myself. I've used it
Yeah.
many a times, and when we were kids, we did a even more in-depth version of that. So when we were kids, when we felt like getting sick, Mom would take us. We'd take our shower, and then we'd get under our covers,
Oh,
and then she'd pile on the covers until we'd sweat
okay.
to death.
Yeah.
And then she had a bowl of ice water, and she would take one limb at a time, and she would rub each limb down,
Oh,
put
yeah,
it
yeah.
back underneath the water, then take the next limb, rub it down with the cold water, and do one limb at a
Okay.
time, your chest and back and everything, and then take the blankets off, and then
Good
go to
blanket.
sleep. Yeah,
Yeah.
and get back under, and then the next morning we would be totally fine. So
I believe it's that contrasting. See, it's the contrasting
correct.
of the hot and the
It's the
cold, whether
contrasting,
it's like
yeah,
you're
yeah.
doing when you're rubbing that on. So that's good. That's
yeah,
good.
so
Yeah.
I have done a little more in-depth version of that, but the cold shower one actually works really good. So we have another question here from Kathy. says, does it matter when you drink the water? Does that make a
When
difference?
I mean, if I'm going to try to get 120 ounces in the day, I can't wait till 6 o'clock, because then I'm just trying to drink so much, and then I have to go to the bathroom all night, especially
Yes.
as I'm
Yeah.
getting older.
Yeah.
So you really want to spread it out throughout the whole day. I mean, throughout the whole day. And in fact, it really goes. I have a friend who she will drink a half a gallon first thing upon waking. So she gets a half a gallon in right
Yeah. Yeah.
away, even before she goes on her run. I mean, first thing in the morning when you wake up. And I've read other places too, especially, they say that heart attacks are greatest in the morning, and partly for that is because people go to, they have their bowel movement in the morning, and then they're straining if they're constipated, if they haven't been eating properly, so they're constipated. I mean, I've had patients when I was working at Beaver, I had patients who were having one bowel movement a week. Can you
Oh,
imagine that?
wow.
One a week. And so if you can imagine straining, and then if you haven't drunk any water all night, your blood is very viscous.
Yeah.
So that combination of straining with the viscous blood is not a good combination for your heart. So
Right. Right.
they really recommend drinking as much as you can first thing in the
First thing
morning,
in the morning.
and
Yeah.
then, so I try to do that, and then I try to drink throughout the day, because if
Right.
not, I'm not going to get that. And sometimes I have said, oh no, I still have some water left in here, and I'll be slamming it down at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and then I know I'm going to pay for it at 2 in the morning,
Yep.
1 in the
Yep.
morning, 3 in the morning. I mean, I don't know.
Right. Right.
I'm 56, and so I'm getting older, so my bladder doesn't seem to hold as much, or as long. So
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say, does it matter? I mean, it's not like the food part where people have all these different types of eating, but with water, you want to keep it coming in throughout the
Coming in.
day.
Yeah. Yeah. I know one of the things that I started doing, which for me was kind of jump starting my day, is I actually will take warm water, not hot, but warm water.
Oh,
About
uh-huh.
two cups of water I'll do in the morning, like right when I get up and I start
Oh,
my
good.
devotions. I'll
Mm-hmm.
start doing that, and that seems
Mm-hmm.
to me kind of jump starts my whole
That's
system
good. That's
in the morning.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Um,
that's good. I
and
like to do like a hot lemon water
oh,
in the morning,
yeah,
and so that's sort of a similar thing. It's I don't drink tea, but I like lemon.
right, right.
I take a wedge of lemon, stick it in the glass of water, and heat it up, and then that's what I like to do in the morning sometimes too.
All right. So we have a couple more questions here. It says, so how young do you start kids on water?
So how young do you start kids on water? Well, I mean, if they're drinking breast milk from from birth, our daughter, she was breastfed, and then she went from breastfeeding straight to water. We did not do juices, for
Yeah.
her when she was young. We didn't do milk. We're all, we don't do any dairy, and so she went from breast milk to water, and that's been her main fluid.
Yeah.
She does not like sodas. I mean, thank goodness. I think she tried it once at somebody's party, and she did not like the carbonation.
Oh,
So she's
okay.
never been into sodas at all, and juices. We don't do juices, like I said. So it's
Right.
just been breast milk and water. So
Breast milk and water. Yeah.
however long you breastfeed, and then they can start on water. I haven't read anything that says otherwise. Water's bad for them. I mean, at a
Yeah.
young age. So
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I would say that's quotes negative about water are people like in Ron's case. When Ron was talking about all his marathons and all that, those type of people sometimes can overdo it on water and get what we call hyponatremia, where they're drinking too much and then their electrolytes get sort of watered out. But that's very, very rare. In all my years of exercise physiology, working with patients, I've never had a patient once in
Yeah.
21 years
Yeah.
who drank too much water. It's almost always the other end. They're not drinking enough. But
Right.
that is an issue. So, and Summer, my daughter, she never like OD'd on water. So it's yeah, it's safe.
Excellent.
Bonnie.
Excellent. So the next question: how do you introduce water to infants, and is that okay?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, she just went from breast milk to water.
You just hand
We
it to
didn't,
her, and
yeah, we just gave it to her and she drank it, and because she didn't know anything else,
yeah,
so
yeah,
she didn't have juices. I mean, I know I've had patients who actually they told me this when they were kids, when they were babies. Their parents put soda. Can you imagine that? Soda, Coke, in their bottles, and so they developed a taste for that and the
yeah,
caffeine, of course, and all that. And they got addicted to that. So then they're not going to go to water.
yeah. I actually I had a neighbor girl that they all ended up with caps on their teeth at a very young age because they were drinking soda
Soda.
out of their when they were little kid
Oh,
out of the little bottle, and then
oh,
with caps at
the
a very
sippy
young
cups
age.
and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
that's terrible.
So
So yeah, Bonnie, you can. I mean, we just gave it to her, and she was an infant, so she was a young kid, so she didn't really know any different, and she just drank it. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, awesome. So it says, what is your opinion on alkaline water versus regular filtered water? Is there a lot more benefit with alkaline water?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, I'm still up in the air. I don't personally. I mean, there's alkaline water, there's oxygenated water, and all these other specialty types of waters like that. I, I talked to some biochemists about some of these places that will give you these special waters, and he said if you understand the physiology of water, they can't really maintain their alkalinity or their oxygenation and all that. So I'm sort of up in the air about that. I've not been convinced by the evidence as far as an overwhelming benefit to alkaline over regular water. So I think to me, we're just trying to get people to drink more. Period. Whether it's
Right.
whether it's regular water. I know some people do bottled water. I'm a little bit hesitant about bottled water or in the bottles because of the whole environmental thing. All those plastic bottles.
Plastic, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and so that's why I use reusable thing. I do know that some people do use water softeners or have filters in their homes or use the Brita stuff. And
Right.
I've used all those in some point in time, but I get lazy changing the filter, so I just use tap water
Tap water, yeah,
and that kind of thing.
yeah.
So that's a good question.
Yeah, I've actually been blessed because growing up, we had a 90-foot well. And so
Oh,
having wonderful well water, when I
yeah,
did move to the city, I ended up getting a filter because I just couldn't stand the flavor of the
the
chlorine.
flavor, yeah, yeah, yeah.
But the well water, I think for me has been a huge blessing. Having that 90-foot well, just even the taste of it,
Yeah,
I think it just makes me able to drink more water,
way more.
which
Yeah.
I,
Now
I,
I
I'm glad to be blessed with that.
I grew up in Bering Springs and we had well water there, so I grew up with well water as a kid, and then yeah, so that's why I think I had to put lemon water in this. This is Loma Linda water, and I've seen the readings of it and all.
Hmm.
So the taste, I'm just not crazy about it, but with lemon water, the lemon in it's okay. I mean, then
Right,
I can do it. So
right, right, right.
yeah.
I think we had another question about hydrotherapy.
Oh yeah,
Scroll up.
Gigi. I think Gigi and Malin. Those are Malin is a friend from Florida who's watching. They both asked the same question. If you can't stand the 30 seconds of cold, is 15 seconds okay? Interestingly enough, before I had just gotten in from a mountain bike ride this afternoon, and so before coming on, I took a shower obviously, and I tried the hot cold thing again just because I was going to talk about that, and I couldn't take it. It was just too cold, and so I did 15 seconds instead. And then after I got out of the shower, I texted Wes, and I said, "Hey, is 15 seconds okay?" And he said, "Yeah, 15 seconds is okay if you
Is
can't
okay.
stand the
Okay.
30." It's 30. So
So
yeah,
so basically, if you can just stand 15 seconds, then at least do
yes,
that. Yeah.
and I actually even had a timer in my shower. I bought one of these waterproof timers, so it's stuck on the wall there, so I can time it because I just could not. I mean, I wanted it to be over, the cold part.
Sure.
So I would use the timer to just grade it, and especially in the beginning of the pandemic, I was really, I want to really boost my immune system as much as I could. So
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
I stood it as best I could, and so but 30 seconds, and I think at the time I was doing 1 minute cold, 3 and 1, and that was
Okay.
it was that
Yeah.
was tough.
That would have been tough. And actually, I was I've gone to a few different countries. Been to Colombia, Philippines, different places,
Oh,
and that's all they have is cold
that's all they
water.
have. Yeah, that's right. That's
So
right.
you shock your system every single day there. Let me tell you.
That's true. We went on a Maranatha project when I was at Andrews down in Honduras, and all we had was a pipe coming out of the wall. We were sort of staying in this cinder block
Yep.
building, and it had a
Yep.
pipe, and all it was cold water.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
it was that's you actually got used to it. That's the thing.
Yes.
You got
Yeah.
used to it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
looks like we have another question here. If a person do the hot and cold showers without making their hair wet, will
Oh,
be the same benefits?
yeah.
I know of a woman that don't wet their hair for many days. What is your
Okay.
opinion?
Yeah, that's Sandra. That's a good question. Yeah, yeah, it does. I mean, yeah, your head obviously would get cold if you did wet it, but if you're doing your whole body, that's still okay. Dr. Youngberg talked about drying your hair very thoroughly. So, and assuming people wet their hair, but if you're not wetting your hair, your body that's still going to shock your body. So
Right.
I think
Right.
I mean if you're dipping in the water in a pool, you don't necessarily have to go all the way underneath either. I mean, if you just go up to your neck, your whole body's still getting cold
Right.
and so
Yes,
and
it's
then hot
mainly to shock your core of your
system.
body. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that would be fine. So good question, Sandra.
All right.
I wouldn't have thought of that.
Do we have any other questions out there? Oh,
Is there another one?
there's
I'm
something
thinking
about is there on formula? Is that referring
Oh,
to
If the babies are
is that
on
referring to
formula
babies?
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly.
with the
if they're on
formula, is it
formula.
okay?
Oh, if they're on formula. Oh, if they're
Oh,
bottle
I
fed
think she's
formula.
maybe talking about transitioning something to water from a formula to from bottle.
That's a good question. I mean, if they're doing their formula, so much formula, and then they're doing water in between, I guess, in the bottle.
Yeah.
So yeah, we didn't do formula. We went right from breast milk to water. So that's a good question, Bonnie.
Looks like there's another one from Kathy. What about foot baths?
Oh, foot baths. Huh. I mean, yeah, communion oil would shock me sometimes, depending on if they warm the water up or not. Um, I, I, I think foot baths. I mean, I know there's hydrotherapy. I mean, I remember seeing that in my hydrotherapy class in my undergrad, where they do foot baths.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a foot bath that's used for if you have a headache.
mm,
You're bringing the water down, so
oh,
you
the circulation
with
is
the
being
circulation, right? So you're
yeah,
bringing it away from your head.
right. That's a good question.
But
That's
that's
what I think I've been hearing, but I don't know if foot baths would be enough to shock
right,
your
right.
immune system.
I,
I
I
don't know, Kathy, but my gut feeling is you have to do a whole systemic kind of thing,
right,
and the
yeah.
foot baths
Uh,
might not be quite enough.
but there is some
But maybe that's a good
hydrotherapy.
start.
There is hydrotherapy that is good for doing a foot bath,
Right,
which would
right.
be different for like if you have a headache, you're trying to draw your blood
The
down
blood.
to your feet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can get you some more information on that if that's what you're referring to. I do have some more information that I can definitely send your way.
I see Brenda's comment there. Dick, her husband, is filling his water glass as we speak. He's an awesome photographer, and Brenda, we've been on Maranatha trips together. Dirksen, so that's good,
Yeah.
Brenda. I'm glad that he's filling his water, and you too, Brenda. I hope you're drinking enough water. So,
All right. Any other questions? I don't see any more at the moment. We could just wait for a little bit, but while we wait, why don't we go ahead and put in for if you do have, well, looks like we do have another one here. When doing mobile medical clinics in Africa, we discovered a high percentage of patients had hypertension,
hypertension.
and they usually drank very little water, i.e., a
Mm.
fourth a cup per day, since they didn't have access to clean water.
Ooh,
Yeah, that's
wow.
not very that's not
Oof.
very much water at all per day.
Oh, that's yeah. And I know Maranatha is doing a lot of wells. They've been doing a lot of well projects. So I think that's a great thing to do besides in addition to what they're doing with schools and churches.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, a quarter cup whew,
That's
that's
virtually nothing. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah.
that's tough. That's a
Uh,
tough thing.
I think what we're going to add now is a way, if you do have further questions, you can always email us at iyhp@gmail.com. Once again, you see that in the comments there, jsi.iyhp@gmail.com, and we'll be able to forward those on to our presenters, and they will be able to get back to you. So if you have further questions, go ahead and email your questions there. Tomorrow's topic is Fun in the Sun with Dr.
Oh.
Roger Gallant. So I'm very excited about that presentation. Very excited to see you guys back here tomorrow. If there's any other questions, if anybody has a quick question, go ahead and type that in. Otherwise, we will be getting ready for tomorrow's presentation. Anyone else have any quick questions? If not, once again, you can send that to jsi.iyhp@gmail.com. Once again, tomorrow's topic, Fun in the Sun, with Dr. Roger Gallant. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great rest of your night. Thank you, Ernie, so much for your wonderful presentation. It was great to see you.
Thanks.
And thank you for all the information. I'm going to be calculating my weight and stuff after this. I can figure out how much water
See how many
I
ounces
need
you
personally.
need.
Yes, how many ounces I need. So.
And I hope everybody else does the same.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. God bless and have a great night.
Thanks. Bye-bye.